Viewers, 2611 plotter Tahawwur Rana is no longer in the custody of the US Bureau of Prisons and is en route to India. Rana will finally be arriving in India today after over a decade of legal wrangling. A special plane took off from the US at 7:10 p.m. yesterday. The plane will be taking a halt in between at the undisclosed location before reaching New Delhi. Upon arrival, Rana will be officially arrested by the National Investigation Agency in the national capital and will also be produced before a special court of the NIA. This comes as a huge diplomatic win for India, one of the most eyed, one of the most wanted terrorists that India has been pursuing for so long, finally to arrive in India today. Also being joined by my colleague Akhil, who is outside the National Investigation Agency headquarters in the national capital. Akhil, speak to us about the crucial arrival. What are the developments like on your end, Akhil?
Well, if you see at this point in time, what we have learned from our sources that senior officials of NIA, which includes 7 senior officials and other security department, because it's a multi-agency probe at this point in time, this team basically left from India for the United States on Sunday, which is April 6th. And for the last 4 or 5 days, they were there. And today, it is very likely that the team is going to arrive and that team will basically extradite Mr. Tahawwur Rana at this point in time. So once he will be taken back to the national capital, then he will be presented before the NIA court. And after that, what we get to learn from our sources that initially the NIA team will require a police custody of at least 2 weeks, and then the judicial custody will be granted to Tahawwur Rana, and then the case will proceed further in that direction.
Right, Akhil. Thanks very much for getting us those details. In fact, we're also being joined by Gopi to get us more updates into the matter. Gopi, speak to us about the crucial arrival and how the fact that India has been waiting upon this arrival for so long.
Well, Gesu, indeed, it's a big victory for India, as we have also seen yesterday that it was the Home Minister who had also tweeted this particular thing on X handle. Now, what we are learning from our sources is that the Nyayik Abhiraksha Vahini was in fact called yesterday by the Delhi police and along with the pilot escorts, they have been asked to be at the airport at around 7 a.m. Which is any time from now. And Tahawwur Rana might be landing later in the day, later in the afternoon. So this is what we are learning from our sources. While as my colleague just mentioned that he will directly be taken to the NIA, he will be under the custody of NIA, he will be taken to the special court. In fact, he will be produced via a video call. That is what also we are learning from our sources. And we will have to see what time he'll be landing. We'll be bringing updates from the airport. Back to you, Gesu.
Right, Gopi. In fact, also get into the details of what this travel entirely looks like. We know that the flight will also take a pit stop at an unknown location. Gopi.
Well, indeed, yesterday when they began from a Metropolitan Detention Center in the Los Angeles, what we are learning from our sources is for refueling, we still are not aware about the exact place where the flight is going to stop, but it might be anywhere in Europe or UAE where they are going to take some break. The refueling will be done of the flight there, and then he will be brought to India. This is what we are learning from our sources. Back to you, Gesu.
Very much for joining us on the broadcast. In fact, quickly also cutting across to Akhil, who continues to be with us on the broadcast from outside the NIA headquarters in the capital. Akhil, tell us about what details you've gathered since today morning, not just about the arrival, but also about the detention and the fact that he will be produced in front of a special NIA court on his arrival.
Well, that's right. If you see in this charge sheet, which was basically filed by the NIA, Mr. Tahawwur Rana is the second number of accused, because the first number of accused in that 2008 terror attack case was David Headley, who is generally known as Dawood Jilani. So he was the main accused number 1, and Tahawwur Rana is the accused number 2. He's one of the key conspirators and the key masterminds of 2008 terror attack. So at this point in time, it's going to be very crucial crucial because for the last 17 years we have been waiting for this man because he's a wanted terrorist, and once he will be extradited, once he will be back in India, then questioning will be done from different lines because it's a multi-agency probe. Raw officials will also be questioning him. Apart from that, if you see, the NIA will be questioning him. Mumbai Police Crime Branch will be also questioning him because the incident took place in Mumbai. So at this point in time, it's going to be very crucial because other details will also come out. Because if you see, the plan which was being done was not an overnight plan. What we have seen that this plan was, because if you just go by the NIA charge sheet, it's very clear that for the last 2 to 3 years they have been planning. Because if you see, Tahawwur Rana was running a travel agency, and he was part of that. He was basically collaborating with David Headley, Dawood Jilani. So basically he sent him several times prior to the incident on 26/11, at least 5 to 6 times to do the recce, not only in the Mumbai but across several states in India, which include Bengaluru as well, Kochi as well, national capital as well. So these are the certain details which will come out in the detail in this case when the investigation is going to follow once Tahawwur Rana will be brought back into national capital.
Right, Akhil. Thanks very much for getting us those details. In fact, also quickly going across to Gopi. Gopi, since you're outside the airport also, talk to us about the details of the flight. Is there any confirmation on when the flight is supposed to land? In fact, yesterday the first sources had said that yesterday by the night the flight will be landing. But from what we've gathered from now, I think the flight is supposed to land somewhere around midday.
Well, in fact, what we are learning from our sources is it's a special aircraft in which he is being accompanied by 3 NIA officials along with the research and development team. So this is what we are learning from our sources. While it takes almost 14 to 16 hours to reach here. So as per what we have learned from our sources, they've started at 7:10 yesterday. So approximately by mid-afternoon today, Tahawwur Rana would be brought to India, and then we will have to see where he'll be taken. As I've just mentioned before a short while, that he will be produced, most probably he will be produced via video chat in the special court of NIA in Patiala House. So we will have to wait and watch what pans out next and what time he'll be landing. Back to you, Gesu.
Right, Gopi. In fact, also speak to us about how crucial this extradition entirely is. Not just the fact that India and especially the victims of 26/11 are all set to get their closure finally, but also what are the security wins for us in terms of this extradition?
Well, in fact, Gesu, yesterday we happened to speak to many 26/11 victims, which we have in fact published on our channel as well. All of them were reiterating the same fact that he should be punished, he should be given the maximum punishment, as what happened on that night was horrendous. And if you talk about the kind of punishment which he might be given, why this particular extradition is crucial is we might get more number of tips whom was he in touch with, because as per sources what we are learning is that there were also a few local people with whom he was in touch with. So all this and much more, it will be crucial for NIA to find out whom exactly was Tahawwur Rana was in touch with. Also, since Pakistan has always mentioned that there was no link of Pakistan in 26/11 attack, this conversation, in fact this interrogation with Tahawwur Rana will become important so as to establish if at all there was any kind of connection of 26/11 attack with Pakistan. So we will have to wait and watch what pans out even in the interrogation which is done by the NIA in the coming days. Back to you.
Right, Gopi. Thanks very much for getting us those details. Quickly, also circling back to Akhil, who is outside the NIA headquarters. Akhil, speak to us about, like Gopi also said, we know that there are security dots that are supposed to be joined, and that will become easier once the extradition is through. But also speak to us about how major Pakistani links will also be uncovered as part of this extradition, and how this practice sort of makes it look like India and the US are eye to eye when it comes to understanding, or when it even comes to categorizing as to what global terrorism looks like. Akhil.
Well, that's right. If you see, it's a very big diplomatic win for India, because what we have been seeing, that we have been pursuing this case for the last 16 years. And if you see, in this case, not only Tahawwur Rana is one of the main accused in this case. Apart from that, if you see, Hafiz Saeed is also one of the accused. His name is also mentioned in the charge sheet. Yasir Jilani is also mentioned in the charge sheet. Major Sulman is also mentioned in the charge sheet. So these are the people who basically planned this nefarious attack on 26/11/2008. So these are the crucial people who basically hails from Pakistan, and Lashkar-e-Taiba had a very big role to play in this entire case. And if you just go by the charge sheet, there were 9 main accused who were named in that charge sheet. So at this point in time, it's going to be very crucial to get the information from Tahawwur Rana, because he was the one who was providing logistics. He was the one who was providing traveling itinerary and details to those accused. And his basically mentor, you can say, was sitting in Pakistan, sitting in Lahore, who is Muhammad Saeed. That Muhammad Hafiz Saeed was basically dictating and directing these individuals to conduct this nefarious plan. And after that, what we have seen, that this unfortunate incident took place, in which we have lost 166 individuals in 2008 attack, which include 6 Americans as well. So this is going to be very crucial, not only for us, for the United States as well, because earlier what we have seen, that United States President Mr. Donald Trump has clearly and categorically mentioned that we are going to basically extradite Mr. Tahawwur Rana to India, because he is the main culprit. He's the main accused. He's the mastermind of 2008 terror attack. So at this point in time, it's a big win. So once he will be back, then what we can expect, that the NIA will going to basically interrogate him, and will get to know more details, and then the legal proceedings will go underway, and then the court will decide what will happen next in this case to Mr. Tahawwur Rana. Back to you.